Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tunic. It's time to finish off the mines area, or the Ziggurat as it's called in here. So we'll do that, and we'll get some more pages for the manual. So we got a lot on our plate this part.
I gotta say, that glowing radioactive ooze is really hurting my eyes right now. They could have, toned down the brightness of it just a little, and it would have looked great.
This is specifically what I was meaning when I mentioned a couple parts back, that there are a few moments where it just ends up hurting your eyes, even though it's a cool aesthetic. I do like the aesthetic.
I'm reminded of Metroid Prime, only even more luminescent and pink.
Yeah, it does kind of have a phase-on look to it, doesn't it?
Yeah, but I remember there are some parts with phase-on where it can get kind of hard to look at depending on your screen settings. And this is like that, but even more so. I would
It
say.
takes up so much of the screen.
I think that's the big thing about it, because this is an overhead game versus like Metroid is a Prime is a first-person game.
Yeah.
Even at its worst, you can always look up and then slightly, and it's
jeez, these enemies are not letting you go.
You also, I
and
think,
these
have to
also
wear...
bypass the mask. Oh wait, you're not wearing the mask. Does it?
Yeah.
Do these still bypass the mask?
Yes, they do.
Okay,
Oh, so it doesn't
I
matter.
figured as much.
Ooh.
Oh, they seem relentless too, and they spawn babies. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Going full East 2 on these things.
Yeah, they drop magic pellets, though, so feel free to use your fire rod on them or the gun.
I use the gun a lot on this.
Considering there's so many of them and they stay close together, I think they're probably intended for the gun to be good against them.
Yeah, I'm thinking so.
It's very satisfying just blasting away like 15 spiders.
Who let this 5-year-old fox have a gun?
Ah, man.
I already let him have a knife. Why not a gun?
Ooh.
That's a good point. Oh, look at that.
When they're full size, they can't fit through. Oh, man. I smell a death
you're cooked,
incoming.
man.
Nope, I'm alive.
Oh, you did it. Look at that.
Thanks to my dynamite.
Still got a couple more Estus flasks, so... At this point in the game, it doesn't really hurt too much if you end up in a bad combat encounter, because you have enough Estus flasks to, just tank a few hits while you try to feel the enemy out. It's only really early in the game where the Estus flasks count as low that these kind of games are really, really challenging.
Yeah, I think that's why this area is probably one of the... Maybe not here because you already have the mask, but before you have the mask... Or if you don't realize what the mask does, it kind of emulates that early game difficulty because everything kills you in one hit and you can't rely on your flasks.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, a lot of RPGs can often have that sort of backwards difficulty curve, Mega Man difficulty curve, where early on the game's really hard because you have no resources or special stuff, and then the game gets easier and easier as you go.
Metroidvania games are like that, too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been like that since the days of tabletop RPGs. Partially intentionally so, because the idea is that as you gain experience and become a genuine badass, not much can really threaten you anymore. But
well, that's why I always thought that, because in many of these RPGs I'm talking about, then they'll just have extremely broken super bosses that need pretty specific setups in order to beat a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And in Dungeons and Dragons, that's why you have things with 50,000 armor, unpierceable armor, or can stop you from doing magic, or a number of other broken things that if you look up, especially D&D 2.0 and 1.0 adventures, some of this stuff is just straight up unfair what they'll do to you. It's oh, congratulations, you can't use your magic anymore, so it turns out every spellcaster in the party is useless for the rest of this adventure. Okay, thanks, bye.
Have fun bopping things with your staff.
Yo,
your little stick.
I forget what it's called, but there's this classic D&D adventure that's just like the most broken trap-riddle dungeon you've ever experienced.
Tomb of Horrors.
Tomb of Horrors. I think that
It's
might be
actually,
it.
it's very funny.
Or is it Tomb of Annihilation?
I think there might be both.
But basically, it was Gary Gygax just putting together the most ridiculous mousetrap for the players. And it's just like even if you're at the max level allowed by the game with the most perfect build, it's really just a crapshoot if you're going in blind. Whether you'll just pick a room that will kill you.
So it's actually very funny. In that adventure, there's like a golden statue with its mouth open. And if you put your hand in, you die. At my local game store where they have D&D stuff there, there's like a little like box full of like small D&D miniatures that you can buy. They're like blind bags. But the box that you pull them out of is shaped like that statue. So you put your hand in order to grab. So it's one of those things that only like the one of those deep cuts that only like the people who know this semi-obscure adventure will get. But I always like it when they do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ooh, boss time. We haven't really had many boss fights, have we?
There's only been like maybe
ton.
3 of them.
This is our 4th major boss, I believe.
Yeah, bosses in Souls-like games are always a highlight, whether you like them or not.
I like the music, I gotta say, like the soft piano vibes. I love when when video game bosses do that. Like they take, like a somewhat like serene piano melody or whatever, and contrast it with, a boss fight or whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite piece of music in Tekken 7 is like this really, really pretty piano riff that plays in the stage where it's just infinite water, so there's no walls. And it's this beautiful piano melody. But you're also playing it where you have the morbidly obese man fighting the robot who can throw her head at people, and it's just like, oh, Tekken, never change.
I gotta say, it's nice of them to put the save point right next to the boss fight, though.
I think they've done that for all of them, which I also appreciate.
Well, yeah, I call attention to it because it's specifically something that Dark Souls doesn't do. Like, you have to reach the boss again every time you die, and it's half of what makes that shit challenging. Because like there's a definite non-zero chance of you dying before you get there and losing your stuff.
Yeah.
It depends on what kind of game you're trying to make, really, whether or not it works. It's kind of like the Mario versus Celeste kind of mindset, where like games like Celeste, Super Meat Boy, Rayman Origins, those have checkpoints practically every screen, because the idea is, each screen is so hard and precise that, if you beat it, then good job, you did it. You can go on to the next one and try that one. Versus a game like in more traditional platformer like Mario or Castlevania, it's more about the gauntlet where each individual challenge might not be as difficult, but you have to do all of them in a row. So it just depends on what kind of game you're trying to make.
And then there's Dark Souls, who says,
what if we did
never
both?
mind that. What if we did both? Yeah.
Oh, man. And I mean, people like that, too, because they keep making Dark Soulses, or Bloodborns, or Sekiros, or whatever they're making now.
Yep.
Was Sekiro the last one that team made? Or am I thinking of a different game?
Elden Ring.
Oh, Elden Ring, okay, yeah. People like that game, too, so, yeah.
Elden Ring was a bit more forgiving, though. Elden Ring had a lot more checkpoints and closer to like your bosses.
I think part of what makes Elden Ring more forgiving is the open world nature of it, though. Because if you're having trouble with a particular boss, you can always just go somewhere else and do something else as a palate
That
cleanser
is
before
true.
trying again. Yeah, I like how this guy has a gas mask,
Yeah!
just in case you didn't get it the first time.
I think also making a true open world game like that means that you have to tone things down, because otherwise you hit walls. I know that the Souls-like games are not strictly Metroidvanias. Like, they're not strictly linear. There's some Metroid elements to them, but they're more linear than a game like Elden Ring. So it's like, okay, they can plan out the difficulty curve more than, oh, you just walked to the wrong side of the world and now you die.
Well, that's why open world games traditionally implement scaling elements. Wait, what are we doing now?
We're leaving.
Teleporting out.
Oh.
We got the 3 MacGuffins, so we can go to the next encounter if we so choose, but we have some manual pieces to get first.
Excellent.
I had noticed we hadn't found one in, like, that entire area. Which, this guy always spawns here. This is like the third time you spawn on that platform, and then he's just like,
sup?
Wait, what?
Teleportation, yeah.
But anyway, what I was saying was that problem, Ted, is exactly why open world games have traditionally always incorporated some element of scaling in their design. So that, like, no matter where you go, the challenge is at least somewhat tailored to where you are. The problem with it is that sometimes the scaling goes too far and keeps the game from being challenging at all.
Or, like, this isn't an open world game, but, like, sometimes I've heard that, like, Final Fantasy VIII, the monsters will level up with you. So, like, if you grind, you make the game harder for yourself.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more complicated than that. If you grind, the enemies do get stronger and start using stronger equipment, but you're not actually, like, making the game exceptionally difficult when you do that. In my first playthrough, I grinded all the way up to level 100, and the only thing that gave me any real trouble was a mega weapon because of that fucking level 5 death spell, which you are permanently susceptible to at level 100. Why didn't you stop at 99?
I think Romancing Saga had a similar system in that if you level up, then everything gets stronger with you. And I like haven't played it myself. This is just things that I've heard, but it can get to a point where you level up and grind so much that everything's like too powerful for you to take on because you stayed in one spot too much.
That would be the Oblivion problem, where there's a point where...
does Oblivion do that?
Oblivion scales everything up with you whenever you level up. The problem is that when you level up to a certain point, your offensive capabilities effectively stop growing, but enemy health continues to grow. So the only thing leveling up actually does is make the enemies tankier. That was one of Oblivion's many level scaling issues. But
yeah, it seems frustrating because, like, it's only recently I can think of where games will let you stop gaining experience, because otherwise then you just have to run away from every fight you come into, which is, like, not very fun.
But going back to Final Fantasy VIII, the issue wasn't that the issue in that game wasn't that the enemies got stronger. It was that it was that, like, if you didn't understand the junctioning system, they could outpace you. But that's an issue with player skill. The other problem is a player-created one. A lot of players look at the scaling system and think, okay, the game will be easier if I stay at level 1. Let's not gain any experience. And yeah, the game will be easier if you stay at level 1 and just junction stuff for all time. It's not exactly going to be more fun that way, though, because you are replacing the normal flow of gameplay with a deliberate grind. So, you know,
yeah, because in that you don't ever kill anything. You just sit there, take all of their magic orbs, and then leave before you kill them.
No, what you're supposed to do is use the card ability to transform monsters into cards a lot. And none of the bosses ever give you experience points, so you can just fight them normally. But the idea is to never kill any regular enemies. Just draw magic and turn them into cards so that you can turn them into items, so that you can turn them into more magic and then junction them to everything. Yeah. But, oh, the cover.
Oh, is that just the cover?
Yeah, this is the last one you're supposed to get.
It's literally the Legend of Zelda 1.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Oh, Ryan, do you want to tell them how you actually solve this particular door?
So there's a page in the manual that has a bunch of numbers on it that is later on, and it's this door in an order. You have to find various pieces of the door. Other pieces of the door out in the world and piece it together, and then do things in the order it wants you to. It's very convoluted.
Ugh.
So wait, so you have to do like different little things in the actual overworld in the order that the manual tells you to.
Functionally, yes. You have to find chunks of things and various other puzzles in the manual. It's very complicated. I don't know how to explain it well myself. Masae, if you know how to explain it better.
It's like, do you remember as we were walking through, we would see chunks of gold in the earth, in the beach there was a chunk of gold, in the river there was a chunk of gold, and it was just like large piece of a door. Basically,
I don't really, but I'm sure if I saw it, I would be like, yeah, I saw that.
If we pass by it again, I'll point it out. But essentially, you have to like piece together the door from all of the different pieces that you find in the world. It looks like a part of the background when you're walking through, so you might not even make note of it until now. But it's basically like you have to take the pieces, line them up, and then it'll show you the Holy Cross pattern at that point. But even if you have all the pieces, it's still hard to figure out because they're all at different angles.
Okay, so what are we doing now?
Putting the third shiny thingy in the hole.
We've put the wolf medal and the eagle medal in the fountain, and now we can access the lab. It was a Resident Evil joke, in case you didn't catch it.
I didn't catch it. I haven't. I don't play many horror games, so.
At the end of the first Resident Evil, the lab is accessed via a fountain outside, and you have to put like 2 medals in the fountain to open the stairway down. It's a little bit more convoluted in the original than in the remake, because the remake kind of has this whole series of events that you go through and collect the medals, whereas it's a bit more non-linear and just sort of random in the original.
I loved that. It's like, now what? For that achievement.
Yeah,
because I thought you would just go down the hole.
Nope, you can't go down the hole. You have to go somewhere else.
Okay.
Which I think we go into the next part. So
maybe Umbrella should have designed their lab entrance like that. Then maybe Stars wouldn't have blown the whole thing wide open.
Yeah, man. Whoever in the Resident Evil universe is in charge of like setting up stupid random key puzzles all the time definitely makes a fortune, I would have to say.
That would be that would be Mr. Trevor, the architect who they hired to build the place, and who also built the house from Resident Evil 7.
I'm sorry, I just looked up that mountain puzzle. I think I was thinking of the wrong puzzle. Because I was like, wait a second, I feel like that's where I got really pissed off. No, Ryan, isn't that mountain door the one where you go into the manual and it has you flipping through the pages?
Oh yeah, you're right, it is.
Yeah, it's that one. It's not the door.
Oh wait, hold on. Is it like that one on the page before that?
Like that map, like that little design on the map there? That was a clue to one of the parts of the Holy Cross puzzle. You have to scroll through all of the pages of the manual to really get it.
What the fuck is...
so it's basically all hidden in the pages of the manual, and you can like see the different.
It's called the golden path
by following the golden line. Yeah, the golden path.
Oh, so when you got that weird dotted square, it was an extra space for equipment. Okay.
Yes, that's what the gold coins do.
I was like, what the fuck is that?
How do you get that page that's like in the middle of that like box of water that you can't
We will get it later.
Oh man, it's always games always tease when they do that. It's just like, oh, here's a consumable that you could get from the very beginning of the game. It's like, oh, you need an end game.
See like that thing in the bottom right? That's part of the puzzle.
Or the top right.
Yeah.
Because you can see the gold in the line.
The doodling on the memo pages is
Yeah.
Ah, man. This game is really goddamn charming. I need to grab it. I was thinking I'd like say nuts to the 30 FPS and just get the Switch version, but I don't know. Seeing how luminescent the Ziggurat was kind of like has me thinking of changing my mind on that, because the reason I would want it on Switch is so that I could play it portable in bed, but like if I'm playing a game portable in bed, I'm playing in the dark.
My eyes.
Like I actually like I'm generally not a portable gaming kind of person, partly because my hands get sore when I play for too long in portable mode. So,
well, it doesn't help that the Switch has an extremely unergonomic design.
Well, that doesn't matter because I have a grip for it. I have a grip that I can just fit it into, and it's fine. But I also like playing in bed now. And the glow.
We'll talk about the glow next time then, apparently.